Attention Austin guitar players and bass players. Are you in need of setup or repair on your axe? Well, I have the guy for you, gang. That's Jason Swedberg over at J. Scott Luthery, and you can find him at J. Scott Luthery on Instagram. Now, if you listen to the show, you know I've been talking about Jason for years. Why is that? Because I've been taking my guitars to Jason for over 20 years. Not only does he do the best job, but he has the best prices and the fastest service in town. Again, find him at J. Scott Luthery on Instagram. Not only is he doing an amazing job repairing and setting up guitars, he is now building guitars. That's right. He built me an SG Junior, which I have, and it sounds amazing. It feels great. It's the very first SG Junior he ever built. I've got a J. Scott Luthery SG Junior. You can go see him at J. Scott Luthery on Instagram. Get a guitar built. Get your guitars fixed. Get them set up. It's time, man. They've been hanging on the wall all through COVID. Now it's time to get them out, get them fixed, and get out there and play. J. Scott Luthery on Instagram. Let's get down. Hey, gang, are you in a band in Austin? You're looking to make the leap from the band of schmoes to the band of pros? Well, you can start by rehearsing at Space. Space is a state-of-the-art affordable venue for rehearsal and recording located just a few short miles south of downtown Austin. 31 spacious rooms, great PAs, and a very helpful and courteous staff. They have adapted to the COVID standards, and it is a very safe place to rehearse. You move in one way, you go in one door, you go out the other, you bring your own microphones. That's Space Rehearsal and Recording. Find them at 512-448-9518 or go to spaceatx.com and take the talent train from Schmoesville to Protown with Space Rehearsal and Recording. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I am your host, and welcome to the show. I hope you guys have all had a good week. Whatever it is you've been doing this week, if you've been working, getting ready for that weekend, getting ready to do stuff. Well, gang, I have some big announcements to make today. Ta-da! I have a brand new single that dropped today. It's called All New Flavor. I wrote it with my friend Gabriel Rhodes. It features the amazing drum talents of my man John Chipman and the amazing bass talents of my friend Scott Garber. Amazing song out today. Go to johnnygoudie.bandcamp.com. It should be also on all the other streaming services. I will play a bit of it in just a second for you. But first of all, I got to tell you, today's the day. Today's the day I play my first full band show tonight, Friday, June 25th at 310 ACL Live right here in Austin. My first full band show since September of 2019. It's been almost 2 years since I've fronted a band playing my music. And I am so excited, gang. There are still some tickets available. Get out there. Find them at 310austin.com. That's the number 3, the word 10, austin.com. I'll also put a link to it in the text of this podcast. Get out there, man. Get these tickets. If you live in Austin, you're not doing anything tonight, Friday, June 25th, come out. Special guest, the Belle Sounds. The Belle Sounds have been releasing singles all year and also haven't played a show in over a year. So it's been crazy, man. No one's played a show for over a year, really. Starting to play shows again. Tonight's the night, 310 ACL Live. I'm so excited to do this show. Doors are at 8. Belle Sounds at 8:30. Me at 9:30. Okay? It's going to be a great show. Great show. Get your tickets, baby. All right, so this song, All New Flavor. So I talked about it in this interview I did with Magnet Magazine last week. They actually did a premiere of the song. But I talked about Gabe and I wrote this song. It was last summer in kind of like July or August. So there was a lot of upheaval going on. There was a lot of separation. And one thing that I had noticed in the whole thing was that some people deify their leaders, you know. They deify them and then they get rid of them. There's a disposable sort of thing, like America needs a daddy and then they need to get rid of them. And so that's where the song kind of, the sentiment comes from. So here you go. Here's the chorus of my brand new song, All New Flavor. Available today.
'Cause they are gonna need someone to do the heavy lifting.
All right, go to johnnygoudie.bandcamp.com to get involved with that there song, or find it on the streaming services. I hope it made it to the streaming services. The last single, Marigold, did not make it to to the streaming services. I'm still editing stuff for it and sending it back, and for some reason it's not being submitted. But anyway, this one is there, all new flavor. Thank you so much for listening and dealing with all of my shenanigans here. As I said, people haven't played a show in almost 2 years. This my guest today, Erin Walter, writer, songwriter, and bass player for the band Parker Woodland. They're playing their first full band show tomorrow, Saturday, June 26th at Meanwhile Brewing. They play at 8 p.m. and then there'll be a video premiere for their song Later Than We Think at 9 p.m. All right? This is their first full band show in 15 months, and they just put out their very first EP too. It's called The World Is on Fire and We Still Fall in Love. Produced by my dear friend Jonas Wilson. Erin is a fascinating person. Fascinating. She's been doing these community building concerts because she is a Unitarian minister, and she's been doing these community building shows. She was doing them traveling around, but now she has been doing them via Zoom. So she has done this virtual tour. By the time August rolls around, she will have done over like 100 shows. We talked about it. Tons and tons of shows where she does these virtual shows and plays music for different Unitarian Universalist congregations throughout the U.S. and Canada. Fascinating lady, man. Very, very cool. Very, very soulful. The band is absolutely fantastic. This EP, The World Is on Fire and We Still Fall in Love, is amazing. You'll hear the song The World Is on Fire and We Still Fall in Love as soon as I stop talking, which I may never do. I don't know. I've been drinking coffee and I'm so excited to play tonight. I am so excited to play tonight. And then I think I'm going to go down to Meanwhile Brewing tomorrow, Saturday, June 26th. Get out there and see my guest today, Parker Woodland. Erin Walter and I have an amazing conversation about her journey as a musician, about her journey as a Unitarian Universalist minister. You know? And I didn't know the difference between unity and Unitarian, but she does explain that right off the bat. So, so you guys, if those of you that are like, is unity Unitarian? Why is there two different names? Well, because they're two different things. That's what I found out. ParkerWoodland.com. Go there and find out how to get involved with them. Their EP, The World Is on Fire and We Still Fall in Love, is available now, produced by my dear friend Jonas Wilson. Go see them tomorrow night, Saturday, June 26th at Meanwhile Brewing. By the way, have you guys been out there? It's one of those new South places. My friend Jamie, my friend Tyson are doing the music and the sound there. Amazing job. I went out there and saw my friend Scott Collins last week. He did an amazing job. And yeah, I'm thinking about actually playing there. I've been talking to Tyson. Maybe you'll see me playing there in August or September. Meanwhile Brewing, tomorrow night, Saturday, June 26th, the first full band show in public in 15 months for my guest, Erin Walter, and her band, Parker Woodland. So enjoy my conversation with the amazingly talented, amazingly empathetic, is that the way you say that? Or empathic? Whichever word it is the one that I mean. Wonderful, wonderful human being, an extremely talented songwriter and bass player, Erin Walter from Parker Woodland. Let's get down.
Go! It's a hard time to look for hope when the truth can't feel like a joke or worse. They tell you it's your fault if you trust. But there's one thing I know, it's this: opposites do coexist. And the last
So, like in the 80s, my mom was like, she was a hippie lady and stuff.
Yeah.
And we moved to Austin in like 1984.
Yeah.
And we would go to the Unity Church here.
So a lot of times people get Unity and Unitarian.
Okay. I'm one of those people.
It happens all the time. Are you talking about the Unity Church that's like out on the lake on the hill? Or
dude, this was like in 84. It was like in South Austin somewhere, like tucked away. But Joe Ely was always there. Like Cat's like, it was like that kind of scene.
Well, it's a lot of the. I mean, in that way, it's a lot of the same type of people and everything. But the Unitarian Church is over like on Grover and 48th. Unity tends to be like a new age, sort of a new age version of Christianity, is what I understand. And Unitarian is like kind of a blend of things. But anyway, we could talk about that if you want to.
We are.
Are we talking about it now?
Oh, yeah,
Are
man.
we already recording?
We're going.
Oh, okay.
I don't pretend to say hi to you.
Okay, hi. We just walk right in and get started.
Yeah, is that bad?
No, it's totally cool.
Yeah. Well, you were saying such great stuff, and you were sitting on the couch, and I was like, oh, my
Oh,
God.
no, we should have our real conversation, right?
Well, that happens to me sometimes. Like, someone will come
Yeah.
over, and we'll have this great conversation, and we sit down, and you're like, so talk about this?
Right,
Yeah.
and then it gets real
It's like
formal.
the Warner Brothers frog or
Yeah,
something.
that's how I feel sometimes about recording demos, right? Like the first time that you record something, it's not the best version, but it is the most like natural and heartfelt version.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be kind of hard.
Yeah.
But-
You made this record with Jonas.
I did.
This
We
EP.
did.
Yeah, you guys made this EP with Jonas.
Yeah, it was a great experience. He was in a band with Dan McMonagle, the guitar player for Parker Woodland. I think it was Lomita.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of Lomita.
Right on. So so they go way back, and so Dan suggested we go out there and spent a day, and then later another half day. It was kind of, I think everyone would agree it was a little bit of a rush job, but
Because you guys did it all in one day.
pretty much. I mean, we came back later and did like a half day of some overdubs and stuff. But
That's how people did it before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like just go in there,
Yeah.
fucking play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of music you play has to be done. It's not like you're going to go in and piecemeal it.
Right.
That would
yeah.
suck.
It represents exactly where we were in that moment. And it was maybe a week or two before we played our first live show. So it was really like capturing a moment in time.
So is this like 2019 you recorded that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, which is wild, right? People are like, oh, the world's on fire and we still fall in love. That's so perfect for now. And I'm like, I know. I also really felt it in 2018 when I wrote it. And sadly, the world has only gotten more on fire since then. So, yeah. For better or worse, when you write a song about that kind of shit, it stays relevant.
It really does, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird. It's like, are you a Bill Hicks fan?
Not actively, but
Okay.
yes, tell me.
There's stuff like, I was watching this thing and he was talking about how if you watch the media, it's like rape, murder, AIDS, crack, all this stuff. And like, he's like, if you turn off CNN and open your window, it's just like a beautiful day outside, like birds are chirping, people just walking around having a good time.
Right? I mean, that's the thing that I feel like I'm constantly grappling with is like, people I know who feel like the world is ending and they're not wrong in a way, but then I want to be like, have you been outside lately? It's fucking amazing out there. Like there's still so many great people, even in the midst of terrible people. You know what I mean? And it makes me sound like a bit of a Pollyanna, but I actually think it's realism, right? Like the world is on fire and we still fall in love. There's bad shit and good shit, and that's real.
Well, that's the stuff that like you end up having to I try to explain to like my sister, like it's the news is like freaking you out so that you won't turn away from it so that they can sell erectile dysfunction medicine.
Right?
To people, because that's the only ads I ever see when I watch the
seriously.
news.
Hey, we'll help you with this one thing, and then you might go blind. Your skin will be translucent.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll never
Yeah,
poop again, except that you'll always poop. Like the like list of side effects. I don't know how anyone wants these medications. Like after they list the side, but they have to, I'm sure, legally. But anyway, yes, correct.
Yeah.
I was a newspaper reporter in my first career, so
You were?
I was at the
Where?
Statesman. Yeah, at the
Oh,
Statesman.
really?
Yeah. So I mean,
what was your beat?
Well, I was covering like daily news, so running into the emergency when other people are running away. And then I covered like city council and things like that in Williamson County for a while.
But that's exciting.
Oh my gosh. It was it's simultaneously boring and riveting, like any sort of local government stuff. And then when I left doing that full time, I noticed that I was covering like education and youth and the arts and things. And so it kind of pulled me out of daily news into some other work. But over time, I've stayed engaged with writing. So I write about music sometimes, like every now and then I'll jump in on South by Southwest or ACL coverage for the Statesman.
Oh, really?
It's been a few years though. I've been a little busy, but but there's great. I mean, even though the news business is rough, there's great people over there, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I just watched this movie a couple nights ago. I feel stupid saying this just now when I started saying
No,
it.
I
I'm
can't
like,
wait.
Such an idiot. But I watched this movie State of Play.
Okay, I've
You ever
heard
see
of
that
it,
movie?
but
It's
who's
like
in it?
Russell Crowe, Ben Affleck, and
No, I don't know if I've
Robin
seen it. Tell me.
Wright, all these people.
Okay.
But it's a newspaper story, one of the, like all the President's Men,
Yeah.
kind of like political,
Yeah.
Okay. And I realized that I love I love newsroom movies.
Hell yeah.
Like Spotlight and stuff like that.
Yes.
And all the President's Men, like.
Totally. That's one of my favorites. It's a classic.
Me too.
Yeah. That's a genre I will watch all the time. I will watch movies about music all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And then I will watch movies about Chicago because I lived in Chicago for chunks of time as well. So I think those are my jams, like news movies, music movies, Chicago movies, if I had to pick.
Yeah. All right. I got so many questions
I know.
for you.
Where to start, right?
No, I know where to start. Let's go back to the
good.
unity versus Unitarian. Explain to me the ideological difference between those two.
All right. So I'm not super versed in the Unity Church because that's not mine, but I do understand it to be kind of a new age, very loving branch of Christianity.
Yeah.
So Unitarian Universalists, I'm a Unitarian Universalist minister, and they grew out of Christianity in Europe, but like the most liberal branches of it, kind of pulling. So the Unitarians believed in just one God. They were like, we don't really see evidence for the Trinity. We don't really get this whole Father, Son, Holy Spirit
Right.
thing. So we're going to go with one God. So that was their strand in like the 1600s and beyond. And then we have the Universalists who believed, hey, if we're going to believe in God, we really don't think he's going to send us to hell. We're not into that. So we believe in universal love, universal salvation. So one of my mentors likes to joke that like the origins are one God, no hell church.
Right.
But they just became the one God, no hell people who were separate for a long time, hundreds of years. As they came to the U.S., they became more and more similar. They found themselves in the same progressive circles. And so they merged in the 1960s. So now we have the mouthful that is Unitarian Universalist. That's always why, I think people want to say unity because it's a lot easier to say. But so Unitarian Universalists don't have a required creed. We like to say love beyond belief. So it's about being in community, in a spiritual community, having that experience, music and message and contemplative time without requiring like, hey, you have to believe this. So the person sitting next to me might be a Buddhist Unitarian Universalist. Right. You might be a Christian Unitarian Universalist. You might be an atheist UU. But we're committed to these values of loving everyone and understanding everyone as having worth and dignity. So,
amazing.
Yeah, that's the elevators.
Having grown up Catholic.
Yes.
And Hispanic Catholic. Mm-hmm. I don't understand.
How do we pull that off?
I don't understand how you do it without feeling bad about something.
Right. Oh, we managed to feel bad about something. Let me tell you. So there's a lot of Catholics who come to Unitarian Universalism having loved sort of the art and music experience, the beauty of Catholicism and the social justice work of Catholicism. So Unitarian Universalism is very, in the modern now very rooted in social justice work, anti-racism in particular, but work around disability justice, gender justice, where a queer affirming faith. So there's a lot of trans ministers, queer ministers. It's a home for folks who sadly have often been shut out of other faiths.
Yeah.
So yeah. A lot of Catholics who want the experience of a spiritual home and a place that's beautiful and cares about justice, but can't abide some of the other stuff come our way.
Do you work Sunday mornings? Is that your...
I am affiliated with Wildflower Church in South Austin on Old Torf, but I'm not their parish minister, their church minister. My music is my ministry out in the world.
Okay, because you tie this into your music and you travel from
I go around.
UU community to UU community.
I do. But so what I was doing was I was an interfaith chaplain and a director for the YMCA of Austin for the last 3 years. And so I was doing like music in the lobby and teaching dance and doing their communication and then also just being there for staff and members and holding space for that and doing justice work there. And then a lot of jobs were lost to the pandemic. So since I lost my job at the Y, I've been putting all my energy into Parker Woodland, my band, and integrating that with what's a virtual tour of UU churches, as well as other things like some Get Out the Vote events and different activist events. But mainly every Sunday morning, from my house or my shed or my daughter's bedroom or wherever's the quietest in the house that Sunday, I'm going to churches all around the U.S. and Canada, and I share my music and I talk about music as a spiritual practice.
So you over the last year, since last September up until this August, you'll do 80 plus
at
shows.
Least. I looked at my spreadsheet and it's well over 100.
Shit.
But But some of them are things like a live stream local thing or like a pre-recorded, justice event or something. Church-wise, I mean, it'll at least be 80, maybe 90. I don't know. It's wild. So go ahead.
No. Do you play with the band?
I do play with a band.
Okay.
I mean, Parker Woodland is my band, but in this church setting right now, for the sake of the ease of the internet, I use recorded music.
Okay.
So it's like our video for The World's on Fire,
Yeah.
our
Great
video for
by the
other
way.
stuff. Thank you.
Who did that video?
Jazz Mills.
That's
from Free Lunch ATX and Pope Coke. She's a friend, and so she directed it. And then Cole Burris from Goons edited it. Yeah.
Okay.
It was super fun to make. It's in my house. That was the
last thing you did.
thing we did for the pandemic. Yeah. So it's like a joy, and like my heart, hurts a little bit watching it. I'm like, I miss all these people.
Yeah.
But we're getting back out there.
So people can tune into these things. They can find them on your calendar at parkerwoodland.com, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's like I might be in an East Coast congregation at 10 o'clock on the East Coast time. And then later I'm in like Portland, Oregon at 11 o'clock West Coast time. Or during the week, I've sent recordings to congregations that pre-record, because some of them don't do it live on Zoom. They do it like pre-recorded on Facebook or YouTube. So I've sent them stuff. So meanwhile, people are watching and listening to my music and hearing the message in Canada and Florida or whatever. It's been an incredible silver lining to what has really been like a grief-stricken year for me. So I'm really thankful.
What kind of grief have you experienced?
All the things. You're losing my job. Both of my kids have been home, and that's been really emotionally hard. I have a 12-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. So they were 8 and 11 when this hit. And my husband's home doing his work from home. So, but for me, everything that I do is about bringing people together in a joyful, energetic.
And that has not been the last.
No. So like Parker Woodland had just played 6 shows. It had totally kicked ass. We just like gathered people for our video. Super fun. I was teaching dance classes. I was running shit in the community at the Y. I would go to my church on Sunday. It was all like in person,
You're
vibrant.
locked in your house with your whole family, wiping down your groceries with bleach.
Exactly. It was horrible.
With the madman at the helm at the time.
Oh, seriously. And yeah, so that was really scary too, right? Politically. So I also play in a band called Butch County. I'm the bass player, and that's a queer and trans band. And so like I'm embedded in that community. And so to see like the attacks on people's rights at the state level, the national, I mean, it was just horrible. And then I lost a family member to COVID.
Sorry.
Thank you. So it's been just grief after grief this year. And I mean, that's where the song comes from, is like, even when things are super hard, there's joy, there's beauty. And this tour and making music has been like the saving grace for this year for me.
In almost like a Catholic way. It's almost like a test. You know what I mean? Like they're testing you.
Right. And it's like, I don't believe that you should have to be on the cross and suffer to be redeemed. Right. And at the same time, we do learn and grow from struggle. Right. Like if you're intentional about it, if you let yourself grow, you can. I just don't think it should be required. I would prefer that we didn't have to have this pandemic for people to realize that maybe we could slow down.
Yeah. Have you been able to write during this time?
Yes.
What's that stuff like?
So I know, right? I'm like, prepare yourselves, people. We're going to be shifting from Parker Woodland, once upon a time, a joyful garage band, now sad singer-songwriter. No, I'm getting together with some potential collaborators on Sunday because, I've read, it's like cry when you write, dance when you produce. And I'm trying to keep that in mind. It's like, even if you write sad stuff, if you get together in like a good vibe when you produce, it can be really joyful. So I'm looking forward to finding out what these like sad sap end of the, like loneliness jams what they sound, what they sound, how to Parker Woodlandify them with other people.
Right.
You know?
I've been trying to. I've not been succeeding, but I want to write joyful music.
Oh.
It's hard.
No, I mean, to me, that it really is about like the way you put the sounds together, because the words, it's almost always hokey. I've had insomnia this year. I've been sad. I've been reading these books called Songwriters on Songwriting and More Songwriters on Songwriting. And it's these big tomes of a guy doing interviews with all kinds of songwriters. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like Paul something. Anyway, it feels like every other interview, somebody talks about how it's hard to write happy songs. Only Stevie Wonder can do it. I'm like, that's a really high bar.
That is true.
But I love that
job.
like people just universally, like, that's the only example people can think of like happy songs is Stevie Wonder. But how about you? How's it been going? Are you writing a bunch of stuff during this time too?
I've been writing. And I've been writing with other people for their thing, and I've been working on. I recorded, and I've been putting out singles every month. I will be for the next few months, and I'm playing a show. Are you doing any shows?
Yeah,
you doing real shows?
We're coming
real
out
live?
of the cave. Yeah, I don't know when this airs, but
I don't either. It'll be a few weeks.
Okay, well, we may have already played them by then, but we're doing the Hole in the Wall on June 17th and Meanwhile Brewing on June 26th. As a big like music video release for our
awesome.
third last video of this EP, because that's actually something that's been fun for me this year. I did not know that I would like making music videos, but I've been having a lot of fun working. I don't know how to edit them properly, so I work with someone else, and you know, I've worked with Cole Burris from Goons, and then I also worked with this friend's son who's a senior in high school at McCallum High. I'm all about like, you know, working with younger people who know more about, you know, what's going on. So, because I do a lot of stuff with Girls Rock Austin and Girls Rock camps as well. So anyway, her son, Jude Gravois, edited one of our videos, and he's about to go off to college for film. So anyway, making videos has been a fun part of it for me too.
Yeah. You know that I went into, I made a record with Jonas Wilson.
Oh, tell me.
And I went into it to work with a younger person that would have a different kind of outlook than I did. He's fun to work with. He's so musical. He's so he's just great. I love him. I've known him for a long time.
Jonas,
since he was
you mean?
since he was young.
Yeah, well, no,
since he was young, since he was a kid, like a teenager. He joined my band like when he was like 19 or something.
Yeah, he's so talented, and I love that he's doing a lot with the Bastrop community around music.
I love that, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking with Mark Fort from the Texas Music Office the other day about, you know, the programs that the Texas Music Office does around supporting other communities in being more, you know, music-tastic. I don't know what they call it, like being an official music city.
Music
or something.
city. Yeah, that's what they call it, official music city.
So I think that's really cool, because I was born and raised in Austin. I can't imagine growing up. I mean, I don't want to imagine. I'm sure I could try, but growing up somewhere where music wasn't important, you know?
Yeah. So you were born and raised here?
Yeah, very close to where we're sitting right now.
Really?
Yeah, Travis Heights.
Travis Heights.
Back before it was the expensive, unaffordable.
Were your parents involved in it? Like, did you used to go to Aquafest, or was that around then?
Hell
or like,
yes. I used to go. I remember seeing Sincola at Aquafest.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, I mean, Aquafest. So I was one of the things that I have the fondest memories of is I was an intern with KNAC, the radio station that preceded 101X. And I was in high school. So at that time, you know, I was going to shows at Liberty Lunch and all of that. I went to Travis High over on Old Wharf, and I would just like roll downtown to go see shows all the time. I mean, it was the best way to be a teenager. I'm telling you.
That's a very Austin sort of like growing up in Austin. You're part of the thing.
Yeah.
Especially in that era when those bands, like I was in this band, Mr. Rocket Baby, during that time. We were on one of the KNAC compilation. I think the first one. Yeah. Or maybe the second. I
totally remember that band and being a part of that. Go ahead.
But music was really important to everyone here. Yeah. Like Mr. Rocket Baby played like 3 proms. Who would have a fucking original weird like early 70s sounding like band at your prom? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Oh, I wish that had been my high school. Although I will say my high school played a lot of Selena at prom, and that was a good thing too. But I would have been great to have. You were playing Selena when I came in the door. I was like, I'm going to be happy here.
I love Selena.
No, it was great. And so I remember listening to KNAC when I was in high school, and they were doing an ad for interns. And I was like, well, I definitely want to be an intern. So I got my resume together. I was a journalism student and everything. I got my resume together. I went down there and they're like, you have to be 21 because you have to be able to like go to shows and, man the table and whatever.
Right.
And I was like, all right. I said, well, if anything else comes up, think of me. And then I think I must have followed up with them a second time, like come back again to say like, here's my stuff. If there's anything else I can do or whatever. And they were like, you know what, fine. So I ended up getting to intern there, even though I was like 3-4 years younger than I should have been. So I remember things like, giving condoms to Sheryl Crow at Horde, like just all kinds of random Austin teenager shit. Yeah. So it was a good time to be
So that was
up.
like mid 90s?
Yeah.
That's when the Horde thing was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a big Morphine fan and they were playing
Yeah.
Horde, so I was like, send me to that table. I will work that show.
I got to hang out with him.
Really?
When he was here. Yep.
Yeah.
I thought I'd open for him, but I might be wrong about that. But they played 2 nights.
Yeah.
And he was hanging out at Steamboat, this place on 6th Street where I
Yeah.
play. And I would go there after my gig and just hang out until the wee hours with, shooting the shit with Mark Sandman.
Yeah, he was awesome. I feel like this is a proud moment. My husband was like embarrassed at the time. We were teenagers growing up together and we were at Liberty Lunch for one of the Morphine shows. And I was obsessed with Morphine and Mark Sandman. Like I loved them. And I went over to him and I was like, what do I do? Like, what can I do? And I like asked him to sign my jeans. And so he had signed like which is not a thing I would normally do. Right. But he like signed the top of my jeans and I saved those, I treasured those jeans for a very long time. But he was like, I cannot believe you're doing that. But I was like,
Wait,
I have to say something.
You've been with this guy since then?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we've lived in separate places. We're both like independent, entrepreneurial types that, so we're not like attached at the hip, but yeah, we've been together for a long, long time.
You have kids?
We do. I mean, we're attached to the hip in that way. We are
Yeah,
married.
yeah.
I just
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
like, it's not like, no. Yeah. He lived in other states. When we were growing up, we lived in different places. I went off to school at Northwestern in Chicago and he was doing like tech stuff in California.
And you went to school for journalism?
I did. Yeah. But
What was the dream for you?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, the dream was journalism on the surface, right? I wanted to go to Northwestern, study journalism, come back and be a reporter for the Austin American-Statesman, which I did. But I also feel like when you talk about dreams, like especially for women, you have to like dig underneath that, right? So I got into journalism because I wanted to write fiction, but there was no fiction writing class at my school, so I chose journalism. But underneath all of that has always been music, always, always, always. And I played bass in orchestra from like 6th grade through college, but I just didn't have any example, I feel like, or very many accessible examples of women doing that.
Yeah.
Professionally. It was either like you were Madonna, which was to me didn't feel attainable, I guess, or I just didn't have any image of how that would work. So that's why I'm very involved with Girls Rock Austin now, because I feel like if I had that example, I probably would have done what I'm doing now, which is music at the center of my life, integrated into the other parts of my life from the beginning.
Right.
And also what I really wish as a parent is that, and I don't know, maybe they're doing this, but I haven't seen it. I wish that the schools would teach music industry to kids now. I mean, it's a real industry, right? Like the stereotype is like a kid says, I want to be in rock and roll, and the parents are like, get a real job.
What do you mean, like in high school?
Yeah, or anytime. Like my kid's in elementary school and they're watching like, no offense, I love his music teacher, but they're watching like the original Mary Poppins. Like, cool.
In music class?
Yeah, like as their end of the year movie. But could they be learning about or watching something about like modern stuff that the kids can imagine themselves really doing it? There's a whole industry of this, from what you're doing with a podcast, through live, through streaming, through sync.
Also, like I work with Austin Music Foundation. That seems like a thing where you could integrate that sort of thing. We could send someone there to speak to them the last day of school or something.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, so anyway, there's the surface answer of what my dream was, but the truth is I think my dream would have always been to be fronting a band and putting music at the center of my life.
And playing bass.
And playing bass.
What inspired you to do bass?
Oh man.
The last thing left in orchestra or something?
No. So I come from a family of, just like musical people, not everybody professionally, but just music is important to all of us. We sing at family reunions. We have like a family reunion songbook. And I took piano at first. My grandparents were piano teachers. Everybody had to have an instrument. But then I was going into Fulmore Middle School, which is now Lively Middle School on South Congress. And there's music night that like for fifth graders to go in and like try out, play the reeds and like try the different instruments and see. So my friends were going and I just went to hang out with my friends. Like I didn't even intend to pick an instrument. And so the story from the teacher, Mary Kay Hendricks, is that I came in and I just picked up the bass and I sat with it and I stayed all night and I like get tears in my eyes. And then there was a second night in case you couldn't make the first night or your parents had to work. I came back the second night and did it all over again and just sat there with the upright bass. And so it chose me. I chose it. I don't know.
How much bigger than you was it? Like,
honestly,
seems like you'd need a step stool to use it.
I was pretty tall.
You were pretty tall?
Some of us girls get our height early, but yeah. So like I played bass, and then following me, there were a lot of female bass players at Fulmore for years after that, which is something I was really proud of. But it took me until my, early to mid 20s when I came back from college and I was going to emos all the time, but I was like carting my upright bass around in my Jetta, trying to figure out like what chamber group would I play in, when I finally saw like some female bass player in some band that I loved up there. And I was like, oh shit, like that's the same. Why am I not playing the music that I listen to?
Right.
And so then, you make a flyer and you put it up at Waterloo.
For a band?
Yeah. And then you find a band. And so I feel like that's when the best parts of my life really happen, is like once I was like, well, I need to join a band. So
who are you going to see at emos? Who are your people at that time?
Oh, that's a great question. Rainer Maria, Mates of State, The Anniversary. Locally, I was just a huge Cruiserweight fan. Of course, I loved listening to your interview with my friend Stella Maxwell. Yeah, that was fun. Rilo Kiley.
Oh, yeah.
Locally, again, like Recover, Impossibles, Dynamite Boy. I like some pop punk and some indie pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I heard you and Stella. It was so funny. You were talking on your interview, and you were talking about like Paramore and Evanescence. Do you remember that day?
No.
You were like, Paramore is the worst, and I was like, because I love them. But you were actually thinking of Evanescence,
right?
Which
Yeah,
is
I don't know any. I just know that one. Like,
I know. Well, and
it sounds like the Evanescence song I think of reminds me of like if she did a duet with I can't even remember that band. Whatever. Some
Cannibal
band.
Corpse. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I think I would like
Sepultura.
Cannibal Corpse
right.
and Sepultura more than like those mainstream like
Limp Bizkit.
Alternative rock bands. Yeah.
And it's so funny because Amy Lee from Evanescence is a great singer, and I think that song that they got famous with that y'all did, you and Stella did an amazing sort of like gibberish rendition. You should go back and listen to that interview. It was gold. I love your podcast, but
thank you so much.
Yeah, but
oh yeah, you posted something about it on Twitter.
Yeah, it was super
Thanks.
good. You're welcome. But so I think that song that was the big hit for them is not even necessarily typical of what they do, right? And because I think the guy, the like, wasn't actually always in the band. Like I think he might have been a guest. Anyway, it's just so funny how that happens, right? You can have a song that takes off and like that's your identity. Yeah. Anyway,
did you stay connected to radio in any way? Like, are you
a little bit
still talk to Ray Segrin at all? I do.
I haven't talked to Ray lately. I hope he's doing well. I mean, I would. In those years, so after I was an intern, then my husband did a lot of the like web and tech. He was a tech kid, so he did web stuff for them. And then as it transitioned to 101X, like I was still in touch with Trina and some of those folks. But it's been a long time. I would love to reconnect with them and at some point. How's Ray, as far as you know?
He's good.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Well, so then when I went to Chicago a few years, so I was up there for college, came back for 5, and then went back again. And
for
when
what?
I was, pardon?
What'd you go back for?
Oh, my husband's video game career took us back there. And that was a hard one for me because I was playing in a band here called The Personals that I really loved. We were kind of in the scene with like Grand Champagne and, those folks. And so that was a hard one for me to leave. I was really heartbroken, but we needed to go for work. And I found a couple of cool bands that I ended up playing with up there. But to answer your radio question, I did get involved with radio up there with WLUW and then the Chicago Indie Radio Project, which is a really cool thing up there. I always recommend for people to look them up when they're like promoting their music. It's Chirp, or the Chicago Indie Radio Project.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I did 5 years in Chicago. I played in a band called The Hidden Mitten, which coincidentally was with people I went to Unitarian Universalist Church camp growing up, and we like reconnected. So
Oh, wait, so you've been doing this your whole life?
I've been at UU my whole life. Yeah. Yeah. My mom raised me in the church, and I've made some great friends. There's a lot of like nerdy indie rockers who grow up in UU for sure. So yeah.
That's so cool.
Thanks. Yeah. No, I haven't had to deal with the pain of like religious rejection or like moving away from the family faith,
right.
which is something I'm thankful for. There's definitely like diverse religious stuff in my family, from like outright rejection of organized religion to more fundamentalist or like sort of Christian non-denominational stuff. And then we have Jewish members of the family. And, so it's a mix. But for me personally, my mom and I, have been UU for a long time.
You don't have an accent at all.
No, I don't. Isn't that weird? But my mom was from Houston, and they were super Anglophile. Like on her side of the family, it's like my kids, I think, are 5th generation Texan. But they were all about like going back to Wales or things like that. And then visiting the homeland. And then my mom's, my mom's brother married an Australian lady, and they live in Austin. They're not married anymore, but she's lovely. And so like the Australian accent was in the mix. And then my dad and his whole family are from Roswell, New Mexico. And so the joke there is that the first of his 5 siblings to marry a Texan, they brought her home, my Aunt Martha, to Roswell. Everybody was still there. And her accent was so thick, and they gave her such a hard time. And then literally one by one, every single one of those 5 kids married somebody from Texas, moved to Texas, got the thickest accent. Like my dad was like, it's Monday. I'm going to go wash the truck. And he was like a renowned sort of fixture at the Broken Spoke. So like he got to Texas and he was like, I'm here.
Did you grow up going to the Broken Spoke?
Absolutely. Yeah. James and Annetta White were important, people in my family life. And my dad passed away 18 years ago unexpectedly. And his picture and obituary are like on the beer fridge behind the bar. And like that's like his final resting place is the Broken Spoke for sure.
Lost James this year.
I know.
Did you see that documentary about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend Brenda made that movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
And I was thankful. It's hard to lose people in the pandemic, right? So I was thankful at least that we were at least at a place where having an outdoor mass service for James, like we could be there in person, because I love his kids, Ginny White. I love her so much. And so like just to be able to see them in person when that happened was important.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, that was one of the things as a minister, I think we've been grappling with folks is like how to mourn or I've officiated both weddings and funerals over Zoom this year, like how to do all that.
Wild.
Yeah. It's been something. On the plus side, more people can come from all over.
Right.
So, but it's been crazy.
Aren't you friends with Jason Garcia?
Yeah.
I watched his wedding on Zoom.
Oh, I officiated that.
That was you?
That was me.
I watched it.
Yeah.
I was just sitting here one day. Wasn't it raining or something that day?
It was maybe.
I was just laying around.
I know. You're like, let me watch this
watching
wedding.
my friends get married on Zoom.
That was
on my
me.
phone. That was so odd.
Yeah.
So that was you.
That was the first
Look at
wedding.
that.
I know, right? Small world. I love Austin for that. I love a small world. That was, I think, the first wedding that I did like that. I did another one in my yard that wasn't even live streamed. It was just the couple and their witnesses. And then I did one that was only on Zoom. But theirs was a hybrid. I was with them in the yard.
Right.
And then we live streamed it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was early in the pandemic too.
Right, it was live streamed.
It was really sweet. And I also felt like at a time when I was aching for the music community, because it was really early in the shutdown. I was missing playing live. It felt like this amazing thing to be marrying these 2 musician friends, because it was Jason and Jennifer Yoder.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the people in the comments were musicians. So it was like we were celebrating something. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it was weird just watching someone's wedding on Facebook.
Totally.
Live.
Totally. Fun and weird.
I'm a man of the cloth as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm a reverend for the Universal Life Church.
Who did you marry?
My cousin Eric and his wife.
Yeah.
Corey Glazer, the bass player of Skyrocket,
Yeah.
and his wife.
Cool.
They're great. And then another one. Do you know by chance Katrina Cunning?
I don't think so.
She
but
grew
maybe
up
I'd
here.
recognize her.
And her husband Charles, who's one of the owners of Hotel Vegas.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Brian Tweedy from the Hotel Vegas crew also was in that sort of my growing up in Austin circles. And it's really cool to see people from that time and what they've grown up to be doing. And yeah, just like, I don't know, it makes me happy to see people succeeding. And of course, I'm sure it was a hard year with the pandemic for those venues, but I love Hotel Vegas. That was one of the last places that Parker Woodland played before the shutdown.
Seems like a good place for you guys to play.
Yeah, it was
It
fun.
makes sense that you kind of cut your teeth going to emos and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now I can walk to the new emos, but it's a different experience, obviously.
It's a different thing. There's not just bands playing.
No.
It's like a very ticketed event, and it has to be a thing. Todd Rundgren played there.
Yeah, right? Who have I seen there? I saw the band Say Anything. I'm trying to think. I've been there a few times. I mean, the sound's been great, but yeah, it's not your like disgusting bathrooms.
It's one of the last places I played an event there. Like I spoke and I played a song or two or something. That was one of the last things I did before the shutdown. It was like the end of February last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So let's go back in the mid '90s. Then you went back to Chicago with your husband.
Yeah.
And he's a video game person.
Yes, he has a company called Farbridge that makes virtual reality games and other kinds of programs.
It's killer.
Yeah, and thankfully, it's work he can do from home. I mean, it's still a lot to be like kept in your house, but he's hanging in there. So yeah, that's what he does. So we went up to Chicago for that, and at first I was just kind of like getting a sense of the scene.
Right.
I remember Garrett Brown, the frontman for the Hidden Mitten, who I had gone to camp with growing up.
Right. You picked up right at the right place. Great job, Erin.
Thanks. He, I was a journalist, so I try to remember the questions.
You're good.
But no, get this. He had reached out to me through Friendster, or like we had stayed in touch through Friendster.
Right.
And then it becomes MySpace, and I don't even remember what platform it was at that point. But I remember him reaching out to me and being like, "Hey, I need a band, or I need a bass player." And I was like, "Man, I'm just grieving so hard. Like, I'm not ready. We just got here. Like, I miss Austin. I miss the personals." But he was playing live band karaoke up there, which the first like vocally fronting a band I ever did was with live band karaoke with Chepo Pena and that whole crew. That was my favorite thing here in Austin. Like the personals, we'd have practice and then we'd go like to Headhunters or wherever and do karaoke with the.
Who else was in there? It was Chepo and who else?
Well, at the time in the karaoke band.
Yeah.
Oh God, who else was in there? At that time.
Sounds like Jacob Schultz would have been involved.
I know, right? No, there's a woman, and now her name is escaping me. I bet it'll come to me later. But so we did a show with the Personals and the Karaoke Apocalypse for my 30th birthday at the Hole in the Wall. That's one of my favorites. And Chepo used to make posters for the Hidden Mitten even after I went to Chicago. So anyway, it was hard to leave. But then when my friend in Chicago was like, "But I'm playing in this live band karaoke thing," I was like, well, that I can do. So I came out and I met him at this bar around the corner from the Double Door. If you've spent much time in Chicago.
Yeah, I played there.
Yeah. So
I saw a rat this big backstage downstairs in the thing. Yeah.
I believe it.
It's gone now, though.
Like, the double, yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the Hidden Mitten.
The rat's gone.
I was like, I hope the rat is gone. Good God. They just let it run the Double Door from there on out.
It's a rat club now.
Well, first when you said that, I pictured rat, R-A-T-T.
Right.
Because as a kid, I had covered my bedroom walls, like at age 3rd grade, with like rat and shit like that.
Really?
So yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh, you don't say. Cinderella. But anyway, no. So before the Double Door closed, actually, the Hidden Mitten, the band that I ended up joining with Garrett, we were like on the marquee of Double Door for when like the Google Maps vehicle went by.
Oh yeah.
So that was always
that's
fun.
cool.
Like if you Google the Double Door, it's like, there we are forever. Except now it's closed. But anyway, yeah. So live band karaoke brought me kind of back to life into the scene there, which
Right.
was great. And I became friends with all those people, kind of like I was here, and then got into the Hidden Mitten. I ended up helping to start a literacy organization up there called Open Books. And that was a great experience. And that's kind of where I got my sense of like community building and what you can do with a mission and lots of volunteers. We were creating a literacy community center and doing a bunch of volunteering all around the city to help kids learn to read and write. So anyway, I did that for a few years, and then I had kids, and it all was like something had to give. And eventually we came back home to Austin because I wanted to be with family, and, so I've been back 10 years now, which is wild for me to think about.
Wow.
Yeah. But it feels good. I mean, I love Austin. And so now to finally, with losing my job at the Y, to finally have this like push to give music everything I've got.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. It's scary, but I'm like trying to get out there and talk to people like you and talk to, like I was saying, I was talking to Mark and like just connecting with all my friends and just like dreaming together about what the next chapter looks like. So
What does it look like?
Oh man.
To you?
To me, well, I'm using Parker Woodland music in activist spaces in the UU Church. So for example, The World's on Fire and We Still Fall in Love video and song is going to be used in this program called Beloved Conversations, which is like an anti-racism program that they do. And it's a song that is about joy as well as hard things. And so they're using it in their module about joy, right? So like if you're out there fighting the good fight to dismantle white supremacy, to make the world a more accessible place, et cetera, you also can't let every little thing bring you down, right? You can't get despairing, because then how will we get there? So they're going to use that song in their like module about joy and about sustenance. So that's just an example of like trying to use the music for good. So that's one piece that's important to me. But really, I want to do stuff like I want to do the Austin Music Foundation's artist development program eventually. I'm sure it's competitive, but I'm claiming it. I want to do it. I want to be.
You just chose our thing for the next year, but.
Oh, that's right. You're in that. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm one of the.
That's right. I saw that. There's so much to keep up with. You do so much. Yes, in the future, down the line.
I try to do so much, I think, is more like the reality.
You do. Yeah, no, you're right. I remember I was researching it, and so a lot in my brain right now. Anyway,
well, you can still go in there for consultations and get involved, and that definitely keeps you. Oh, you did?
Yeah,
you met with Einar?
Yeah, I met with Einar, and I met with Adrienne Lake last year, so that was great.
Adrienne's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh wait, she's the one that got you in here.
Yeah, that we connected about. But I
like her.
It's like seeing the next thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I'm saying I want to connect with the sort of foundational supports that are in Austin for that. So that's one. But more than anything, I want to make like a really, really kick-ass, well-produced, spend some time on it, bring all the people in record next, So I'm starting to like look for the next collaborators to add to the mix. I mean, I love the guys in Parker Woodland, and there's just more we can do, So I'm meeting with some people on Sunday to like talk about strings and vocals and other things.
Wow.
So dreaming about the next record. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And also, hitting the road. All these congregations that I do the church stuff for, eventually they want to have me come out in person, right? So for example, right now I'm talking to a congregation in Montana about coming out there. And so it'll be like, lead church and do music on Sunday, maybe do a dance workshop for them on Saturday. And then maybe Saturday night or Friday night, do like a coffee shop set or, a venue set in their town. So trying to integrate all the things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to do.
I like your plan for the future.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But in the short term, I have so many songs from the pandemic that I've been working on alone, and that's been really hard. So wanting to get back together with people to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you collaborate on the songwriting as well as the...
A little bit. I want to collaborate more, but the way Parker Woodland was born was just neighbors in the area of Parker Lane and Woodland Avenue, or where we live, got together one night just to jam, and it was super fun. And then we did it the next week, and then the next week, and it was just like getting together to play, 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And it was super fun. And then we did it the next week, and then the next week, and then the next week, and it was just like getting together to play 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And it was just like getting together to play 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And it was just like getting together to play 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And it was just like getting together to play 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And it was just like getting together to play 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And it was just like getting together to play 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And it was just like getting together to play 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And it was just like getting together to play 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And it was just like getting together to play 3 or 4 songs, and then we would just like jam. And whatever covers, and I mean, but just like fun, just have fun. And that was where I just fell in love with it. Like no one else seemed really like they were dying to sing a lot. So I was like, I started singing and just kind of spontaneously doing that, which I hadn't before. I've always joined bands that already existed.
Right.
So I just came in and learned their bass parts.
Right.
And bring my sort of like energy to the stage. Like performance is a really big thing to me. I love,
yeah.
You can, I'm like, should I talk slower? Like I just energy. That's
good for those of you listening that can't keep up. I think that on every platform you can slow it down and listen to it at half speed.
I know. When I listen to other,
but then I'll sound like I'm on heroin or something.
When I listen to other people's interviews, I put it on 1.5. But yeah, other people probably need to put me on 0.5.
Do you really do it?
Yeah, because I can. Yeah. I mean,
that is amazing.
There's only so much time in a day, and I want to hear it all. So, but anyway, where was I going with that? I don't know. It's more a function. I like hearing people talk at their regular voice. It's more a function of trying to get it all, squeeze it all in. Yeah. And honestly, I can talk slower. But it's like,
no. I'm just talk, be yourself. I really like, I can't, the thing that I've been thinking about this whole time, I'm like, did we ever meet?
I mean, I know that we've been in the same rooms.
Right.
But I don't know, like this is certainly the best we've met in terms of getting to visit and everything. Yeah. But like I said on Twitter, like I feel like I know you and I feel like I know all the people on your interviews because it's a great sort of real conversation about how did I get here, which is super cool.
It's nice getting to do it back in person because one of the things that I really didn't enjoy about the pandemic, I loved getting to talk to all the people I got to, but on Zoom, I just felt like there's people come on and they don't know I'm a musician or they don't know that I'm coming. They just think I'm some guy like he lives in his mom's basement or so. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do they? It's hard for me to imagine that as someone who's I mean, I couldn't help but follow your career all this time living here. So for someone to come on your show and not know.
Well, but I mean, I've been interviewing people from all over the country and stuff. And so like these people have they know they got to meet a guy on Zoom at like 1.
Got it.
Some guy in Austin.
Yeah. Weird.
But there's something a little more disarming about like if you're a musician and you don't know and you come in here, then you kind of get like, okay, well, this guy's same kind of guy as me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, I love your setup in here. I wish everybody could see it, but it's musical and awesome.
There's a lot of pictures on the thing. There's a lot of weird keyboards and sad. You know what happened, man? My Rhodes, I was playing before you got here, and it was getting quieter, and I don't know. Has something to do with the Rhodes itself. Oh, man, those things are a bitch to get fixed, man.
Yeah. Man, so that's what Dan McMonagle from Parker Woodland does is he works at Straight Music and does like all the repair stuff. And I'm just in awe of people who can make things work in that way, you know?
Me too, man. I don't know how anything works.
I know. I mean, I've always been a words person. You know, I studied journalism. At the time I was doing that, it was you just write. You talk to people, you take notes, you type it in, and then it goes somewhere. Yeah. I mean, even when I first started, we were printing and like glue, using like rubber cement and pasting up and printing, in school. But and then as time has gone on and there's all this tech stuff, like I'm not there yet on TikTok, I have to tell you. I need someone to tutor me. Either. I need someone to tutor me in TikTok, please. If you're listening to this and you want to be my TikTok intern, I will buy you drinks or lunch, depending on how old you are. But anyway, I remember what it was to be a scrappy teenager in the world. But anyway, I'm like, why is this computer shit, why is it hard for me? And that's like, oh, right. Because even when I was in school, the thing I was learning was just about this, talking to people, storytelling. And I think that's how music functions for me too, so it's just that like having something to share that like you just have to share.
Yeah. Do you feel like Susie Quattro or Kip Winger when you're fronting a band playing bass and singing?
Oh my gosh. I love those references. Who
just tried to think of bass playing singers.
Yeah, right. Seriously. Here's who I love and who I think about. Her name is Kate Demarest, or I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but she was the bass player and lead singer of Raina Maria, which was like I think they were a Ryko disc maybe label. But anyway, they were my favorite band in that era. They were big in that kind of, I don't know, not emo is not the right word, but indie scene. And she played bass. She sang. She wrote most of the songs. And she had been a dancer. So she was very physical on stage. And so she's who I think of. And they stopped playing a while ago. They went from like Madison to New York in terms of where they were based. But then they had a reunion, and I think they're playing some again. But anyway, yeah, there aren't a lot. I mean, that's what I was saying. There aren't always a lot of role models for, a redheaded bass player, singer, woman. But there are a few.
What about, are you a Kathy Valentine fan?
Oh my God. Yes. And that book, have you read it yet?
Oh yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
That book came into my life this year when I needed it bad, because it's like, you're at home, you're a mom, you're stuck in a pandemic, you're like yearning to play. And it's easy to start to think like, am I crazy? Like, should I just clean my house?
Yeah.
Should I just learn to cook? Like, it seems to be making a lot of other people happy. But that's not what does it for me. And so then to read her book and have it just be like, no, like she really wanted this. And, those kind of things mean the world to me, to have those examples. So, and I'm psyched for her. Isn't she the one who just graduated?
She just graduated from St. Ed's, yeah. And they got
ass.
inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're getting inducted. Finally.
I know.
It's kind of ridiculous that they hadn't.
Seriously. The way those things work, I don't even. It's weird. But no, she's awesome.
We had a band together. We still do. It's on hiatus
Which
indefinitely.
one?
It's called Lady Band Johnson. It used to be called Johnny in the Ladies' Room. It's the Blue Bonnets, but with me singing like my garage rock songs.
Okay, awesome. Well, I hope
But she plays guitar in it.
Man, that's rad.
It's a pretty interesting story that predates our Austin.
Yeah.
Like that whole Raoul's and all that kind of stuff. I'm always fascinated by that whole part of the scene. Like what wasn't happening at the Armadillo.
Right. Yeah. My mom and stepdad have some like framed armadillo artwork in their house. They're still here in town too. And yeah, it's wild to talk to people who were actually here for that, so it was before my time, but it's cool. And that's another thing that the pandemic did for me, was just more time to read and kind of soak up, other people's, inspiration. So, yeah.
She had the same problem that Susie Quattro was the person that she was kind of inspired, because there was only like there's like 3 people out there playing.
Yeah.
There's some band I just heard of for the first time that I was listening to some podcast, and it was Michael DeBar, that that guy.
Totally.
I didn't mean to have that face when I said that.
No.
I just mean like he's just a guy everybody knows.
No one can see it.
I like him.
Cool.
I went through a phase. Here's the deal.
Okay.
My uncle got us tickets to go see what was the band? Power Station.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I was into that record. He was into that record. My uncle's 4 years older than me. We get to the show and some other dude comes out. It's
What?
not Robert Palmer.
Oh my God.
It's Michael DeBar.
Oh wow.
And we're like,
what
wait,
is going on?
who's this guy? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about his career or anything like that. But anyway, so he was talking. There's some all-female band that was on a major label that preceded the Go-Go's, just had 0 success.
Okay. I feel like that got mentioned in a
They're
book.
making a documentary about it.
Okay, well, I definitely want to see it. And I feel like, if I had one more cup of coffee, maybe I would remember, but it's a lot to keep up with.
Well, so you've got shows. People can go to parkerwoodland.com to find all the shows coming. And also, whatever shows you have left that you're doing virtually, people can tune into.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're going to stick with a mix. I mean, because there are ways that staying online, has been beneficial for everybody. There's people who it's a lot to get out to a show, right? Physically, or, they live in a place where shows aren't going. So I think I'll keep doing some virtual stuff with Parker Woodland for sure. And of course the church stuff, because if you're conscientious in the church world, that's one of the last places that needs to be coming back, because you've got like elderly people singing, it's just, so it'll be, but parkerwoodland.com, I keep a diligent calendar there with all the things, and we just got shirts made, it's like,
I saw that.
Yeah, I'm excited. So it's like all the little things that feel like big things and vice versa.
Yeah. I need to get out and see you guys play.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. You're
Thanks
really
for
cool,
having me.
Erin.
Aw, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
and we're neighbors.
We're neighbors.
So now we know.
I know.
I really appreciate it. And I just love that you do the show and like a chance to kind of reflect on where you've been and how you got there. I think that's super rad.
Yeah.
It can hopefully help me like get a clear picture of where I'm headed too, which I hope is just music, and forever.
I love that. You know, before we go, I've noticed that there's been people in two different mindsets now at the end of this lockdown thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm in a band, you know, with someone that's like, I don't want to play like we used to. Like, you know.
Yeah.
We're breaking our backs for like, you know.
Right.
God knows. I mean, since 1989, I've been getting into van and going somewhere to play.
Right.
Almost every weekend.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I think Austin, I feel like has such my experience has been that it's very live music centric, but that live musicians, most of us don't make a ton of money doing it, right? It's hard.
No, you got to be in like a cover band or some shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And even then, you know, so, but then there's once the pandemic happened, it opened my eyes to so many other ways of doing it that I think in places that are less like we're the live music capital of the world,
right.
You know, like that people are more aware, right? Like of the streaming, of the licensing your music for different things, maybe writing, like my friends in Explosions in the Sky, they've been writing scores for movies and shows all along, you know, like other ways to do things that aren't about like dragging your gear and getting paid, you know, crap.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's tough though, and when you've done it that way for so long, it's difficult to see another way. Because for me, it's you know, even in Austin Music Foundation, I have had people, actually had a person call me old last year when I was talking to them and being like, you know, it's about going out and like seeing people, because you look at people that have longevity,
right?
You know, Metallica did have like radio success, but the people that go to see them, there's people from the radio times. Those people are usually return customers because they've seen them before.
Yes. Yeah. And putting on a good show is super important to me. Like I want to make an incredible, like produced record. And for me, the heart of it will always be live performance, I think. I mean, I guess I can't say for sure, but I think I love the energy of live shows. But yeah, that's not the case for everybody. I mean, there are people who, I think I heard that like the first time this, you know, new pop star Olivia Rodrigo performed her big hit Driver's License was on like some huge show or like awards or something, you know, because it had just been
just kind of like make a person and they're doing TikTok or whatever.
Yeah, no, I know. Now we
sound
know
old.
we're both sound old. But no, there's a lot of ways to do things. And my whole thing is like with Parker Woodland, I just tell people like, I just want my art to have a chance to reach people who might need it and however it might get there. And so I'm with this sort of accidental or like, I don't know, this making lemonade out of lemons time that has been the pandemic is like, how can I get creative about it?
And pivoting, you know, pivoting how you do things. It's, you know, you did it the right way.
Thanks. I'm grateful. I really am.
What kind of bass do you play?
Oh, it's a Fender. I'm not a big gear person. It's yellow. I got it at like Austin Vintage Guitars like
that's cool.
20 years ago or something. Yeah, I love it so much.
I got a Squire.
Nice
Bass.
You got a lot of good stuff in here. I'm telling you.
Better guitars than that Squire bass, but
someday you need to make it like a YouTube video podcast so people can see all of this cool stuff you have.
I think I'd be self-conscious because I have such terrible posture.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that, but I feel your pain.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. Anyway, it's been super fun, and I think, and you know,
I like that you're wrapping it up.
No, I don't know. I'm used to it. No, I'm just wanted to like thank you for. Well, I feel like I like get conscientious about taking other people's time. You're just listening to me talk about me.
I'm enjoying it.
Thanks. No, but really, like knowing that you're involved with the Austin Music Foundation, and you talked about pivoting. Like y'all, the Austin Music Foundation has done great stuff to support musicians and to help me feel like I wasn't alone during this time.
It's austinmusicfoundation.org for anyone like in the business. They're there to help you, and it's free. That's the other thing is like it's totally free. Just
totally. And then the other thing is that, you know, I used to have my health insurance for myself and my family through my job at the YMCA, and I would help people get their HAM memberships, their Health Alliance for Austin Musicians memberships at the Y, And then when I lost my job, now I get my health insurance with HAM.
With HAM. That's good.
Yeah. And that's another local organization I'm super thankful for.
We're really fortunate to have HAM, Sims, and Austin Music Foundation, and all of the other great nonprofits. There's an infrastructure here that other local music scenes don't like.
Yeah.
Can't find that shit in Houston.
No. And I have to say, like, I must be healing a little bit because I'm talking about these things without like hardcore tearing up, you know,
Right.
like I used to, it was for a good year. It was really hard to talk about like how alone it felt.
Yeah, man.
And so I know that there are people who still feel that way. So the minister in me wants to say to anybody who's listening to this, like, there's an email list on parkerwoodland.com and it goes to me. And if you ever just want somebody to talk to about what it is to be trying to make music, what it is to be feeling alone with your art or in this time, or like as a woman or a mom trying to like follow your dream at a certain age, any of that shit, like you can find me through the website because I don't like feeling alone in things and I don't want other people to feel alone either. So
You're a great person. I'm glad we met.
me too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's about time.
Thank you.
Good having you on.
Thank you so much.
I know it's this. Opposites do coexist. And the last thing they'll ever kill is love.
Erin Walter from Parker Woodland. Go see them tomorrow, Saturday, June 26th at Meanwhile Brewing, 8 p.m. Go to parkerwoodland.com for all of your Parker Woodland needs and check out their EP, The World is on Fire and We Still Fall in Love. Available everywhere. Speaking of shows, gang, if you're listening to this the day it comes out tonight, Friday, June 25th, I return with my band after almost 2 years at 310 ACL Live here in Austin. Get out there, check it out, 310 austin.com. Get your tickets there. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher. Anywhere you find podcasts, we have podcasts there. 3 shows a week, next week too. And then we'll go back to the 2-show-a-week schedule. Anyway, I want to thank Erin for doing the show. She's a fantastic person and what a great guest. I want to thank my friend Adrian for setting it up. She's a fantastic person too. Enjoy the rest of this song, The World is on Fire and We Still Fall in Love, from the EP of the same name. This is Parker Woodland. Have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. Let's get down.
No, I could let you go. Say it's not worth it. Oh, I could give up before we know. And what's the use in having hope? And even though everything's wrong and it shows, I still look at you and I know one thing could be perfect. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no. I don't wanna be naive, but I catch myself wanting to believe, and I think I could take a risk this time. It's a hard time to look for